Welcome back to the Bald Guys of Bankruptcy. We're back with another update episode. Today, we're going to be giving you a brief update on Salt Life. So, Rich, Salt Life is a surf apparel company. Is that right?
Yeah, surf apparel. You see a lot of their stuff at the beach. You see it on decals on cars. We have these cool hats. We did our last video in September of 2024, which it feels like we just did that video where we had these hats looking good. Actually, it feels kind of nice. It's a little snug. I think my head got bigger since last time.
What happened initially?
What led to the bankruptcy, which we discussed potential poor management, increase of cost of the materials, and really declining market share. If you think about it, there's a lot of companies like this. You go into any store and you see a lot of competition. Even if they were out there first, there's just so much out there now that they just couldn't keep up. So we went into that. We went into what happened in the beginning of the case, all the first day motions, the critical vendors, the sale and bid procedures, and eventually we discussed who was the winning bidder, which was Iconics Hilco. They were the winning bidder for about $38 million.
And did that go through?
That went through. It's approved. That's done. So if you want to then discuss what's happened since, the case is no longer a Chapter 11. We started off discussing this Chapter 11 and everything, all the planning that went into Chapter 11. The case has since converted. It's now Chapter 7. And it converted on the debtor's motion. So the debtor moved the court to convert or dismiss the case, and the court converted to Chapter 7 and appointed a Chapter 7 trustee.
When you say it's a 7 now, is that because Salt Life was sold and now there's no assets?
So the majority of the assets were sold, right? So that left the debtor there with really no business to operate and a ton of unsecured debt that they couldn't pay. They don't have any revenue. They don't have any more what's called DIP lending, debtor in possession lending, because they defaulted under that agreement. So they're not getting any money. There's no money coming in. There's no business to operate. So they can't form a plan to pay the remaining creditors.
And remind me, the actual entity that filed bankruptcy, is it called Salt Life?
It was SL Liquidators.
And that filer, that debtor, owns Salt Life. Salt Life's been sold. Is this common? Is this what happens?
In this situation, this is exactly what should happen. The debtor has an absolute right to convert, as long as they are debtor in possession, as long as the case wasn't an involuntary case, and as long as it wasn't converted to Chapter 11 involuntarily. They can convert to a 7.
And then I imagine the money that was derived from the sale is now used to pay back as many creditors as possible, and then the rest is just wiped out.
Right. It'll pay off the secured creditors and priority creditors first. There's a lot of unsecured creditors, a lot of money out there that they still had to pay for rejecting leases. They rejected all those storefronts. They rejected all those leases, right? So all those landlords, when that happens during a bankruptcy, they automatically receive a pre-petition claim for whatever's left. It's usually like a year of the lease. And then, funny enough, there was also these damages claims for having to remove Salt Life signage off the stores. You see bills for repaving or stucco and things like that. So it adds up, and they have no way to pay that back. So they just figured convert to a Chapter 7, have a Chapter 7 trustee look into everything. Likely it'll just close with nothing else being dispersed, and the case, they'll get it discharged and the case will close.
All right, so once this is discharged, case is over.
It'll close after that.
Is the new company that purchased Salt Life, is the company still going to operate as Salt Life?
I believe in a way the plan is to operate it just online. I don't know if they're going to rebrand or keep the Salt Life name, but it's going to be just an online store.
You'd almost imagine they would keep the name, because if not, then what are you buying?
Right. Yeah, it's recognizable.
Which is interesting, because if you think about it, whether this is exactly what's happening or just conceptually, it's interesting to say, Salt Life will survive. You could buy a Salt Life hat, but all the debt owed by Salt Life is gone. But in reality, Salt Life's branding.
Right, there's some value in the name.
The name itself is the value. Okay, look, I appreciate it, Rich. I think it's good to catch up on some of these things, and I think it's interesting to see how they play out. There's more nuance to it. It's more complex than you would think.
Right. Well, we discussed the beginning, and then, a year later, case is still active, right? A lot has happened. That's what's interesting about this, and there's so many ways that it can go, so it's great to catch up and go through some of those. All right, Adam, everyone, thanks for watching the Bald Guys of Bankruptcy. We'll see you next time, hopefully real soon.
Bald Guys, Bald Guys, Bald Guys of Bankruptcy. Bald Guys, Bald Guys, Bald Guys of Bankruptcy.